Hello everyone, hope you are all doing well. I got a question from Chaff. He asks, is it socially acceptable to flick your cigarette butts into the gutter or the street or sidewalk? When I first read this question, I imagined a person flicking their cigarette right into the gutter. And intuitively I thought, no, that doesn't seem very acceptable. It's not very good for the environment. It kind of makes a little bit of a mess. But when I thought about it further, I realized that when I was a smoker, yes, I used to smoke for a few years. I've since quit, so I don't smoke anymore. But when I did, I actually did flick my cigarettes onto the road, and I didn't think much of it because everybody else also flicked their cigarette butts who I knew that smoked, and no one really seemed to mind. It was just an accepted thing. So when I really thought about the wording, is it socially acceptable to flick your cigarette butts in the gutter or in the street, I thought, well, that means, is it accepted by society? And as of right now, it is. Like, all of my friends who smoke, when I smoked, no one really seemed to mind or think it was that big of a deal to flick their cigarette butts on the road. So technically it is socially acceptable, but in my mind it is not ideal. It is not an ideal socially acceptable thing. I think it would be wise for our society as a whole to move towards something where, you know, that isn't socially acceptable to throw your trash. And just the behavior itself, I don't think should be socially acceptable to throw your litter. And by throwing cigarette butts, just they might be little small things that kind of makes a mess and isn't great for the environment. And you might be thinking, well, that's easier said than done, and easy for you to say since you don't even smoke anymore. But, you know, it's true. It's not great for the environment, and I don't think it's an overall ideal place to be. Now, how do we tackle moving towards that direction? It's more of a challenging question, because I thought about it. If we had any rules or regulations around doing that, people aren't going to follow it. And in fact, like, it's not legal to litter in the first place, yet people do it. So providing a law, like, people, it's too easy to get away with just dropping a cigarette. Like, that won't, it's hard to regulate something like that. So I think with something like that, I wrote a few things down. I think a change needs to be made in the consciousness and the behavior, the overall behavior of what socially acceptable means to people. Because right now, let me see, it's kind of like a mob mentality that it is socially acceptable. And so I think what we need to work on is bring awareness. And Chaff, I know you do the Fredericton cleanup every year, and that really brought awareness when I did it, because it was surprising to see the amount of garbage in just a small area in Fredericton. Like, picking up mounds and mounds and mounds and trash bags full of garbage in a tiny little area in Fredericton. So obviously I think it's a problem. It's bad for the environment. I'm trying to keep this video under 4 minutes, so I'm running out of time. I think we need to lead by example, educate others, and create a vision of a future world that we could tell other people about. Okay, that's enough. Bye.